Hello and welcome back to another Alt Tech video. In this video I'll be covering the best screen recording software for desktop. So this includes all of the major OSs, which is Windows, Mac, and Linux. So without further ado, let's get right into it. To my knowledge, there are a lot of different screen recording software with many OSs like Windows, including their own screen recording software. However, whenever someone asks me for a recommendation in terms of what software they should get or use, I really only have one recommendation, and that is OBS. OBS stands for Open Broadcaster Software, and the open essentially means that it's an open source thing, right? So it's completely free, which is great. And for free software, especially the open source, it's going to get updated for pretty much for a very long time, as long as there's a community, because it's sort of updated by the community and it's open source, so there's no really company sort of controlling its direction fully. So I think that's really great for the long term. However, I just think it's the most versatile software for recording your screen, and at times it may seem daunting, which is why in this video I'll also be showing a couple of the settings and sort of walk you through the process of recording in OBS. However, I think hands down it's the best one, and if you're gonna maybe even invest your time into learning any software in terms of recording your screen, I think this is the best one. It has no watermarks, no sort of time limits, nothing. You can fully customize the settings, everything's up to you, and which is really great. It's really professional in that sense, and it's used by gamers, because you can actually stream to various different sites. That's what I used to use, what I briefly sort of streamed on YouTube, and I think this is just a really great software to know for streaming, but more importantly for this video recording. So without further ado, let me show you how to install and get it set up, and as well as sort of how to get started with your first screen recording. Alright guys, welcome to the sort of screen recording portion of the video where I'll show you guys how to set it up. And as you guys can see, this is actually the OBS window. I'm recording in here and showing it to you guys to sort of practice what I preach in a sense. And to install OBS, first of all, let's go to here. You guys can see it's the obsproject.com. You guys can install for any of the major OSs. It's really easy. It auto detects sort of 32-bit or 64-bit, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you didn't understand that, no worries, just download it, go through the default settings, go through the installer. It should be quite easy. Now once you're in here, you'll sort of notice there's the scenes here, and there's the sort of sources, the mixers, all of this stuff. So I think I'm mainly going to be covering the scenes, sources, as well as the settings. So the scenes essentially where you can sort of create these virtual scenes. Essentially, you have this canvas given to you in OBS, which is sort of this is the big canvas. So I can move this over, so you guys probably won't be seeing much, but if you guys can sort of see, there's that black box, right? So that black thing is essentially the canvas. And here I'm just gonna show you guys another quick trick. You guys can just do center the screen, and there we go, boom, it's in the center. So all you have to do to set up this in terms of capturing the sort of the overall laptop screen, or whatever screen you're using, is to go in here and click on display capture. So display capture, I already have a couple set up, so all you need to do is go in there and then set up the display you're going to capture. And my webcam sort of disappeared for a second because I added this new display capture. So I'm going to be moving my webcam back on top. If you guys can see, I'm moving my webcam back, so this is like the order of things. So if I move my webcam back on top here, you guys can see it shows up, and we obviously have display capture here, and we have another one here, but since they're doing the same thing, you can't really see the difference in there. And we can just sort of hide this. So if you guys can see, like, I'm essentially hiding, and you guys can lock, so essentially I can't move it around or anything. This is the other sort of thing that you're seeing. So you know what, let's just delete that one. Alright, so we have this set up. Now these are the sources. So if you guys want to set up the webcam, it's quite easy. You just go in video capture device. As you guys can see, I already have a webcam set up, but for you guys' purpose, I can just create new, and you guys can just select a webcam right off of here, which is really easy. All you guys need to do is here. You guys can configure video, which is also quite nice, quite easy. You guys can do resolution and things like that. You have a lot of control, so which is always nice. Now if you go in here, we can just go into settings. So this is where a bulk of the stuff is going to go down. So let me just sort of make this big so you guys can see. So if you guys can see, there's general stream output audio. So as I mentioned, this can also be used for streaming. However, we'll mainly be focusing on the recording aspect. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll definitely do a video because I have also used OBS for streaming. So in the general settings, I think it's pretty straightforward. You know, I'm a dark theme kind of guy, so you know, dark by default. And if you want to change that, you can change that too. There's a bunch of stuff you guys can change. It's mainly sort of visual slash alerts and things like that, not too important. The main important things is you go on output and then recording. So this is sort of the main settings you guys will go under. So I cannot change any of the settings in this because I'm recording, but you guys should be able to do things like see your recording path. So initially when I told you guys the show recordings, so this is where it stores all of the recordings, and you guys can sort of see generate file name without space. So like you can configure that. You guys can configure the recording format. It's on MP4. Recommend leaving it on that as well. All your tracks, if you guys have multiple sort of audio capture devices and things like that, maybe you guys need it. But you know, if you don't know what that is and you don't have any sort of elaborate audio setup, just hit 1. It's by default, just keep it there. Encoder always X264. If you guys know what you guys are doing, maybe you guys can change it up. I wouldn't recommend rescaling output unless you want to downscale from, like, let's say 1080p to 720p, or like 4K to 1080p for, you know, saving on storage. And for rate control, I think it's on CBR by default, but I recommend CRF. And you can just leave these values default here. And here I would recommend going to sort of, depending on the, you know, what PC you're using and how powerful it is. Mine isn't so powerful, so I keep on super fast. So essentially, the faster it is in terms of this wording, the faster it is, the less CPU it uses. So if you keep on placebo, it might use up like 100% of your CPU and it might just crash. So I highly wouldn't recommend doing that. However, if you do go with placebo, you'll probably get the highest possible, you know, output, really smooth and whatnot. That's that. Not much I would recommend in terms of audio. You guys can change the sampling, but keep it at stereo, good stuff. And there's this. So as I was mentioning with the base canvas, so the canvas is sort of this thing you guys are sort of seeing here. That's a canvas, and you know, just you can look into that. So you guys can choose that. The downscale filter. So you have this Lanxos. I don't know how to say that, but that's the best. And I would recommend going with the bilinear, or the one with 16 samples. I think that's a good balance between, you know, high quality and, you know, high quality and also decent performance. I don't know why I have it on 32-bit samples. My PC isn't even that strong. That might be why it crashed. So I was recording this and it crashed twice. So that's probably why I should have turned that off. But yeah, so there's hotkeys you guys can set up and things like that. There's advanced. I don't think you need to touch much in terms of advanced. And now that you guys are here, all you guys need to do is hit on start recording. So right now it shows stop recording because I'm already recording. All you guys need to do is just hit start recording, and then it'll sort of transition to stop recording. Another good thing to see right here is you guys can see how long it's been recording for. So that's been 6 minutes, and I think this video is getting quite long as it is, so let's wrap that up and you guys can see how many CPU and FPS. So if you guys notice the CPU going like above 60% and the FPS dropping, that means it's gonna lag and the final output's not gonna be good. So highly recommend, you know, keeping an eye on that if you can. And that would be it for this. Let's head to the outro.